All right. Hi there, everybody. Hi. All right. So we're here for another, what is it? I can't even think what my own thing is called. Wisdom on Wednesdays webinar. That's what it is. I can just see wow in my mind. Wednesdays or wisdom on Wednesdays webinar. Pfft, it's a mouthful. I didn't probably think about that when I set it up. But here we are. So thank you for being here. My hands are frozen, hence the thing. I need some friction. Okay, so today we're here to change narratives, right? And we have to be able to do that by hearing examples of what might not be correct or helpful, and then maybe giving you some tools for what is, okay? So today we're going to focus on being strong for ourselves or being strong for others. It doesn't matter. This concept of being strong. And usually what that means is being stoic or just not showing the emotion that's true and fitting in this moment. Okay. So I watched a movie with my husband the other day. I have my thoughts here because I can easily become distracted. But my husband and I watched a movie the other day called The Adam Project on Netflix. It was a great movie. Jennifer Gardner. Um, I actually don't know how to say his name, but he plays the green guy in the Marvel movies. I can't think of his name at this moment either because I didn't think ahead for those. My words have been leaving me lately. It's so frustrating. Anyhow, The Adam Project on Netflix, it was fantastic. And there was a quote in there. It's not super often, it's kind of rare that I will hear something in a show or in a movie and just be totally right on, in sync with it. Yes, yes, everyone needs to hear that. Okay, and this movie had that. It was fantastic. So there's this particular scene, and the I can tell you this part because it's pretty early in the movie. This should not be a spoiler if you decide to go watch the movie. Anyhow, mom is a single mom now. She's a widow. She's raising her son. At this moment, he is 12. She's raising him on her own. Husband died, I believe, about 2 years before then. Okay, so son is now 12 and he's really acting out. He's having a hard time. He's basically, giving the signs and actions and behaviors that would tell me that he's grieving. He's got emotional energy in there that has him into conflict, has him into this sort of emotional war with himself. Okay, and so there's a point where this man is talking to this woman. She just had a rough moment. She keeps having these rough moments with her son and just life in general. And so she goes and she's just having a glass of wine at a local bar, it looks like. And so this man who's talking with her, he's talking and he's saying different things, and they're interacting, and after a while he says, well, aren't you grieving too? And it stopped her in her tracks. Hi there, thanks for joining, that's great to have you. It stopped her in her tracks and she says, well, yeah, of course. And the man says, well, tell him, meaning tell your son. And he said, you need to show him. And the lady comes back with, well, I don't think he needs that. And the man says, I know you think you're being strong for him. The problem is he believes you. You're acting strong and he believes you. He believes it all. Maybe he needs to know that you don't have it all together, that you're not strong. It's okay if you don't. And I thought that was pretty important because I believe, I've heard it myself, and I believe we're socialized, at least in this westernized culture, to be strong for our kids, to be strong for each other. And it's a myth. It doesn't exactly work. So I ask you, when you hear this here, how do you act in front of your kids when you have emotions, when you have just emotional things going on in your life? How do you act in front of your kids? How would they know that you're sad or scared? Do you even acknowledge it for yourself? And how would they know that you're sad or scared? Does it come out through anger? Does it come out with a shorter fuse and a shorter temper? Does it come out because you're just not fully present? You're occupied. Your sentences are sort of short and distant, and they can sense that you're just not fully present. Are you sensing that about yourself? Is that how they should know? Well, I want to change the narrative on that, because this be strong in front of our kids and be strong in front of other people, it's not true, correct, or helpful. It's not the thing we want to teach to have continue in life. It's not going to be the most effective for dealing with emotion. So changing this narrative of being strong. Well, being strong, does that mean for you then not showing your emotion? Does it mean kind of stoic? Does it mean going through the motions? Does it mean you've got your game face on? How many faces do you own? What if we changed that be strong for your children to be human with your children? Like this quote here, what if they got to know that you don't have it all together, that you don't have it all figured out, that you don't have the answers? And what kind of permission would that give them to acknowledge the same for themselves when they're trying to act strong and like they've got it figured out? I mean, I noticed that here sometimes with my son. I didn't know this program when he was young, so he has some teaching in there that he's certain is correct, even though I've demonstrated it's not really that helpful. At 17, he believes he's got it figured out, and there's a portion of that that's just going to happen. But we don't want to be strong, we want to be human, and humans feel things. It's normal, completely normal for humans to feel sad sometimes or happy sometimes, or maybe a mixture of both. It's completely normal for humans to feel scared sometimes, or completely secure and satisfied, or a mixture of those two. We're allowed to feel both ends of the spectrum, as well as a mixture of the stuff in between, because that's the complexity of being a human. So some things to do as you're working to change this narrative for yourself is to first learn to listen. I would say learn to listen to yourself. Hi, thanks for being here. I would say learn to listen to yourself first, but also start to do this with your children and the people around you. Learn to listen with your heart, not your head. The head is trying to sort through facts and who said what and who did what and what's coming from where and what was the scene, and set the scene for me and tell me. The head is looking for that actual information, but the heart is looking for, how did that experience leave this person feeling? I wonder if they were scared. I wonder if they were embarrassed. When we listen with our heart, we hear emotion. And if you actually just take a minute and pause, close your eyes, and try to think about or bring up a situation that you have been feeling sad or scared or uncertain of, I'm certain you'd feel it somewhere in your core, from your shoulders and maybe neck to your hips, because we feel these experiences in somewhere in this core region. We don't think them. We think through them. That brings the feeling here. You see how that works? So we have to first learn to listen with our head and not our heart. And when we listen to ourselves with our, did I just say that backwards? We have to learn to listen with our heart and not our head. Apologize, I said that backwards. When we listen with our heart to ourselves or with other people, we are going to learn to start allowing these emotions to be acknowledged. And when we allow them to be acknowledged, we can then allow them to be expressed without judgment, without criticism, without analysis. We get to just honor the parts that make this person human, which is you and your children. The second thing we want to do is recognize that grief, that emotional energy, that sadness, that whatever's keeping you from just purely living in true, honest joy, not the kind that silver lining, only talking positive, but actually feeling something different. Not that, the kind where it's truly real for you. There's not a battle to try to stay there. So recognizing that grief, those emotions are emotional, not intellectual, that's going to be huge. So we have to say something like, instead of what's wrong, I sense there's some kind of sadness. What's happening? What's going on? I never say what's wrong, because that word wrong implies that I think there's something wrong with it, which just like happiness or joy or laughter, sadness and fear and, worry, those are normal. That's part of being human. We may not want to live there in those things, but to experience them in the first place, those emotions, it's not wrong. It's pretty normal and natural. So we have to, number one, listen with our heart, not our head, and realize, number two, that grief or emotional energy, sometimes we like that word better, emotional energy. Maybe you like the word stress. Maybe you like the word anxiety. It actually all means the same thing. It means grief. It just means a buildup of emotional energy. So recognizing that it's emotional, not intellectual, will help you pull away from some of those types of statements and just go straight for the heart. Hey, I sense there's something bothering you. Are you sad about something? Are you angry about something? So just asking directly without using that "what is wrong" word, because that's not going to be helpful. And the third thing for we adults that's really important, it's actually really the first thing to do is to go first as adults, recognizing, using those first two to recognize what is emotional inside of you. How are you feeling? So that, hi there, thanks for joining, so that you can then go first about your own emotional energy. Gosh, I was just driving and I had this memory of this event I went through when I was, I don't know, 15. Whew, I felt so scared at that time. Huh. Strange. And then I will keep driving. The other day, this actually did happen. My 17-year-old was in the car with me and I was driving, and oh my gosh, I just had a flashback of that. We had just recently gone to a Marine Corps basic training graduation. And as we were driving home 3 hours away, I had a flashback of this moment, which took me back to one of my own moments when I was in basic training eons ago. And oh my gosh, I just pictured that marching. Gosh, wasn't that so pretty? It reminds me of this situation. Man, I felt so inspired and I really wanted to make a difference. I feel sad I wasn't able to do that. And just this whole, emotionally honest moment while I'm driving, and my son's, this keeps going. He doesn't always necessarily have a comment all the time, and that's perfectly fine. I'm practicing demonstrating emotional honesty right there in the moment, and that gives him permission to do it when it's time for him later on. I can't make kids speak. I can't make anyone speak. I can't make you watching today speak, but I can demonstrate that it's safe to do so with me because I've gone first. So those are the three things that you can work on to change your narrative as far as being strong for yourself or being strong for other people, especially being strong for kids. That really does hurt them. They bottle that stuff inside. They have no idea what to do with it, and it really wreaks havoc on them through their life at school. Maybe it's affecting their concentration, their energy, their friendships. It's really not healthy. It's not true and it's not correct. So I'd ask you and invite you to look at that for yourself. See if you're operating under that be strong mentality. And if you are, consider changing that narrative. Evaluate it. See how is it truly working for you and for your home. And if you'd like to make a change, it's going to start with you. It's going to start with you being aware, hey, this is emotional. It's not intellectual. This is something to be heard and expressed in an emotional way. Oh, I just had this memory. I remember feeling so scared. Wow, it's neat that I can remember those things. I just call it out. And then number three, it's going to be that exactly, just going first for yourself. Now, if you have thoughts, wonders, and questions about that, go ahead and send them out now while we're still here. We have about 3 minutes left. You can always type them in the comments or DM me if you're following along on Instagram there live. You can always send me your comments through messaging or what have you, and I will get back with you. If you'd like the recording, DM me as well your email address and I can send the recording to you. That way you have this information readily available and you can replay, get those 3 steps, bam, bam, bam. Just get really good at this practice, changing the narrative in your home, in your life, and then the ripple effect that will happen as a result for your children, your children's children. I hope that's really helpful. I love you. This is Rochelle Jones. Wednesdays, let's see. Here we are again. Wisdom on Wednesday's webinar. I should write that down. That's ridiculous. I love you all. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. I'd love to hear any thoughts, wonders, or questions if you have them. And go check out that movie on Netflix if you have it. Hi, Danielle. Go check out that movie if you have it. The Adam Project on Netflix. It was very good. It was emotionally accurate, which I appreciated. That doesn't happen all the time. So um, I don't know if they had a crew, a team in there helping them on those parts to make sure they were lined up, but they were good. They were really good. Hi, thanks for joining. So this will be available here this later this afternoon, so you can rewatch it and share it. And if you'd like the recording, so you can fast forward and do those types of things, you just DM me your email address and I will get that to you. All right, everybody, this is Rochelle Jones, our Wednesday Wow webinar. I love you, and I'll see you next Wednesday. Bye, everyone.